All right, welcome back to the KnivesFAST channel. And guys, it's time for another review. And this one's even more fun because we get to do a comparison as well. Say hey to Ren and Stimpy and all the gang, and let's get started. So obviously we have on the table two Monterey Bay knives. Really nice pouch these come in. This is one of the two, one for each of these knives, but I just thought I'd put one out here. Really well done. Love that orange embroidery. Really, really cool. So we obviously have the Old Guard and the Mini Old Guard on the table. This one comes by way of JB Big Red EDC. This is the green micarta, full-size Old Guard. And again, just a really beautiful knife. This one spoke to me right off the bat. Really, really like it. And then the Mini Old Guard, or the MOG as they're calling it, or the MOG, I guess. I don't know. In full titanium, this one is mine. So let's get into these. We're going to talk a little bit about impressions and use and those kinds of things first. I have carried both of these knives. This one quite extensively. That one probably, I don't know, 3 days worth in the pocket. And so we're going to talk about them. You guys know, if you've watched the channel at all, I really like a thumb stud knife. I'm not huge on flippers. I do like flippers. I'm starting to more like a lot of knives with holes or fullers in them. But for now, I really, really enjoy a thumb stud knife. And so that's where we are with this one and why it spoke to me so well. So let's talk a little bit about how they fit in my hand and how they actions are on both of them. So this is the Mini Old Guard. Obviously, it's smaller. We'll talk about the stats in a minute. But for now, we're just going to show you. So there you can see it's good. It fills up the hand. Nothing's dangling. Everything's good. Your finger fits really well in this nice little choil here. Your thumb goes really well. The spine on this one, on both of them, is a little rounded off, but nice landing spot for your thumb. There's no jimping, doesn't really need it. Nice flat ground blade, really beautiful looking finish on that. You can see just how pretty that finish is. And sorry, I've kind of got it dirty there. There's the MBK logo and those really cool looking thumb studs. They do stick off quite a bit, and I like that. Those are very, very nice thumb studs. Obviously, really nicely done and tapered and rounded on the titanium here. You do have a lanyard hole for those of you that love that, and then again a titanium backspacer. Now, the biggest difference between these two is the fact that this one has the micarta scale is actually integrated into that backspacer. They did not do that on the Mini Old Guard because I think it was because, well, I don't remember what the reason was. They just, because they were doing carbon fiber. That's what it was. They wanted to keep the cost down, so they went with a titanium backspacer. That is what it was. So, but you can see how well done that is on that integral backspacer on the full-size Old Guard. Now, as far as the blade, obviously the sizes are different, but choils are pretty much, well, they are a little bit different, actually. You do have sort of a landing, ricasso, I guess you call it here, with the choil back, indentation for the blade stop there, and the little small cutout for the choil here. And here you have a much larger sharpening choil. So they're actually, I didn't even notice that till just now, but they are quite a bit different. But as far as the blades themselves, as far as the finish, as far as the height of the blade, they are pretty much the same. The logoing, which is really minimal with that really cool MBK logo, is very similar. I will also say that it looks like the Mini Old Guard might have a little more of an abrupt belly to it as far as that drop point. And this one might be a little more gradual. So those are the differences there as far as that goes. Again, the handles are just sort of, one is sort of shorter than the other. It's not a lot of difference there, but now that I've really examined those blades side by side, you can definitely see this one's definitely got a steeper angle up, and this one's more long and sloping there, and obviously you got that difference at the end of the blade there. So that's quite interesting. And your sharpening choil is kind of tiny there. So since this one came out later, I'm guessing that they decided to do that differently. Again, I don't have any information on that, but there you go. The pocket clips are pretty much exactly the same. Very, very nicely done. You can see on the mini old guard, the only thing that really is kind of weird is because it's shorter, you kind of through the window in the clip there, whereas this one you kind of see a nice clean opening. You see that cutout for the blade for the frame lock, and as you can see, the frame lock relief is on the inside rather than the outside, and I think that's really, really cool. And you know, obviously they're both fairly open, but there is a backspacer on both. Obviously, this one is integral. So I haven't really shown you the full-size old guard in my hand, but obviously there's more room at the end. So if you want to get back a little bit, you can. There's no finger choil here, but you can come up on this flat spot a little bit if you want to choke up. Again, really nice rounded off finishing, so this doesn't irritate your hands at all. Just really well done. So the one other thing I want to kind of talk about before we go on to the specs and size comparisons is the lockup, guys. So, well, first of all, on both of these, I didn't really do this yet. They're centered. I mean, the blades are dead centered. As you know, well, actually, the mini might be off to the show side just slightly, but very, very tiny amount. Not rubbing, not anything like that. As you know, these are made in China, designed here by Monterey Bay Knives, by Ray Laconico and Sanford Owen. And that's why you don't have just the Ray Laconico mark on the back, because both of them worked on these together, but they're made in China. Not really sure which OEM they use, but made in China. So the only other thing I wanted to talk about here, and we'll show you on both, the lockup is early. So I would call that a 10 to 15 on mine. And I think JB's is about a 15. Let's just look at them. Whoa, if I cannot cut myself there. Yeah, I would call JB's more like a 15. And so, you know, it's a little early for me. But again, let's talk about lockup. Not a problem, guys. There's no rock, there's no wiggle. And let's do the same with this one. No rock, no wiggle, no issues. I may have taken mine and whacked it slightly on something fairly soft and not really hard, just to make sure it didn't pop open. It didn't. I mean, there's really no problem whatsoever. I saw it and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be using this. I'm going to test it. So did not do that with JB's at all. So let's line these up pivot to pivot. As a matter of fact, let's put them this way. And I'm going to zoom in ever so or zoom out. Zoom in ever so slightly, sorry about that, and show you kind of what we're dealing with. So let's put them pivot to pivot. So literally what you need to think about here is a 1 inch difference between these two knives. So you have a ½ inch difference on the handles and a ½ inch difference on the blade. So the old guard, the full-size old guard, is 8 inches overall, and the mini is 7. The blade on the old guard is 3.5, and the blade on the mini old guard is 3. And last but not least, the handle on the old guard is 4.5, and on the MOG, it's 4 inches. So literally a 1 inch difference. 1 inch, ½ inch in the handle, ½ inch in the blade. The old guard is 3.8 ounces, and the mini old guard is 3.6 ounces. So they're very, very similar, but obviously different. Now, JB asked me something in his channel chat. I'm going to wipe these off while I'm talking here. But in his channel chat, JB asked me, would I still pick the mini now that I've finally gotten. By the way, the plan was that I would have his full-size old guard before I had to make a decision. And the post office decided to, quote-unquote, lose the package for a month. So I had to order before his arrived. As a matter of fact, he had already filed a claim, and we thought we were out of luck, and his was going to be basically lost. So the answer to his question is, I think if I had it to do again, I probably would have waited and got the full-size old guard. Now, they make these in when the old guards, the mini old guards came out, and there may still be some available. If they are, I'll put it in the description. There was titanium and there was raindrop carbon fiber. And even though I think the raindrop carbon fiber is absolutely beautiful, it wasn't what I wanted. I either wanted the micarta or I wanted this full titanium frame lock. And so I ended up getting this. I think if they offer a full-size titanium in the future, I may have to think about that one, because I think the full-size just a little bit better fit in my hand. You can kind of spread out a little bit more. You have a little bit more room. Now, is the other one cramped? Is it unusable? Absolutely not. And I have carried this, and I will carry it a lot. I absolutely adore this knife. And again, I didn't really talk a lot about the action. I've heard a lot of people talking about putting pressure on the lock bar. Guys, it's about, thinking through it. You have a frame lock, just don't put pressure on it. So when I'm going to open it, my fingers are back like this, and it opens perfectly well for me. I don't have any problems. Obviously, if you put pressure on the lock bar, it's not going to work. We all know that ahead of time. So I'm not sure why so many people seem to be kind of surprised by that. And now on the full size, you have a little bit more room for your hands, and it's really not a problem. And I'm not even sure why I used wrist. You don't need it. It just flies out. They ride on washers, so it's not super drop shutty. But it doesn't matter to me. It is very smooth, extremely smooth. It's not a problem unless you don't get it past the detent. It is very smooth. And I love that micarta, guys. It is just super nice and smooth, and just really, really well done. And that was me, not the knife. So the answer is, I think I'd like to have both at some point. But again, I have so many other knives on my list that I'm saving up for. Not sure that's going to happen right out of the box. But I love the mini, and I'm glad I have it. But I think if somebody were to ask me which one I prefer, I think I might prefer the full size a little bit more. But great knife, well done, well built, well designed, great action, great build. And again, by the way, I didn't say this earlier, the full size was running about $215, and I believe they're going to come out with that one in full titanium in the next few months, is what I heard Sanford saying. And then I'm sure they'll keep the mini old guard going as well. They always do more runs, so just keep your eyes out. And again, if there's any available, I will definitely have that in the description. So thanks so much for watching. Sorry this one went a little bit longer, but because of the comparison, it definitely did. So thank you so much for watching, and give me a comment, and let me know what you think of this one. And please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you feel like the content warrants it. And thanks so much for watching the KnivesFAST channel.